Hi, I'm Rose Velasco from Rose Velasco Coaching in the ECS Health Club, and this is Pranayama Yoga. So we're going to be working with breath today. Pranayama is basically breath control, and it translates as life force extension. A lot of yogis believe that through pranayama we can extend our life. Prana is life force energy, and pranayama is breathing techniques used in yoga, and it can be used in everyday life. So the breath that I'm going to show you 2 breath techniques, and then we'll do some asana yoga poses using one of these breath techniques. Well, we can use both of them. So first of all, I'm going to come to seated on a blanket. This is a blanket that's nice and thin. You may have seen in a previous video. I like to use the Mexican style blankets because they fold up very nice. I'm going to sit right on the edge of the blanket so that way it tips the pelvis forward slightly. If this is too much for your legs when you come to a seated position with the legs crossed, you can always use blocks underneath the knees. This first breath I'm going to show you is a 3-part breath. It's using the belly, the low ribs, and the chest to breathe. We're using the entire torso to breathe. Most of the times in our lives, we are chest breathers, and this brings on more of an ability to be having anxiety and such. We're born knowing how to breathe using our diaphragm. Our diaphragm is a muscle just that separates the lower organs from the upper organs, the lungs and the heart from the intestines and the stomach. And when we flex the diaphragm, it's moving down and our organs are displaced, coming forward. So relax the belly muscles in this 3-part breath. The second breath I'll show you is Ujjayi breath, also known as ocean breath or warrior breath. So let's first get started with 3-part breath. Come to a seated position, sitting nice and tall. The spine is tall. We're not rounding into the low back. Sitting up tall, pelvis is tipping forward slightly, which is why I'm sitting right on the edge of the blanket. Take a nice deep breath in, exhale. And then place your let's place the left hand over the belly, right hand over the heart. That's how I'm going to do this here, so that way you can see my belly extending. I'm relaxing the belly muscles forward, and we're going to take a nice deep breath into the belly and then carry that breath up into the chest. But first, belly, first part. Inhale, the belly extends. Exhale, pull the belly into the spine. Inhale, belly extends. Exhale, belly pulls in. Good. One more time, getting used to this. Breathing into the belly. Very nice. Next, we're going to carry that breath up into the lower ribs and upper chest as the torso expands. The chest lifts. Exhale the chest, and then exhale the belly. So inhale, belly, low ribs, and chest. Exhale, chest, low ribs, and belly. Almost like a little ocean wave through the body. If this is a little difficult, I know it was for me at first when I first started learning this breath. I was a chest breather. I would breathe into the chest, and then I would push my belly out and take in a little bit more air. But you get used to it over time, allowing the belly to extend. Carrying the breath into the upper chest, exhale upper chest. Low ribs and belly. Take this breath at your own pace for a few times. Good. This is a complete yogic breath, utilizing the entire capacity of the lungs by allowing the diaphragm to flex. It's going to take practice, and I invite you to practice this every day. Any time of the day is fine. This breath allows you to come back to awareness of the body, come back to awareness of the mind, come back to awareness of the emotions. And so does the second breath. So this second breath, Ujjayi breath, is making a restriction to the back of the throat so we can actually hear the breath. We can do this by, I'd like you to practice this. Take your hand up in front of your face. Imagine it's a mirror. Take a deep breath in through your nose, and as you exhale, make a whisper sound. And imagine you are fogging up a mirror in front of you. Breath in through the nose. Exhale. Notice that restriction in the back of your throat that you're making. So deep breath in through the nose. Exhale audibly. And the next time you're going to try this, you're going to inhale through the nose, and the mouth is going to be closed as you do this same restriction to the back of your throat on the exhale, but breathing out through your nose. Make a light restriction to the back of your throat so that the breath still is exhaling easily. It's not getting caught up or making gurgly sounds. You want a nice, even sort of whisper out through your nostrils. You can take this breath with the restriction on the inhale as well as the exhale. But if doing it both inhale and exhale brings on a little bit of anxiety, just do it on the exhale. This breath helps you as well to come back to the mind, come back to the body, come back to the emotions, and it helps you to stay centered in the moment. And this is an excellent breath to take while doing the asana poses. So let's practice Ujjayi breath for a few moments. Deep breath in through the nose. Exhale through the nose with the restriction in the back of the throat. Take this at your own pace for a few moments. Feel the whisper. Good. Take this one more breath. And then return to your natural breath, just breathing in and out with no restriction, no three-part breath. Just coming to this time in this space. Very nice. All right, so now that we have practiced these two pranayama techniques, I'm going to face you, and you can follow along with some of these seated warm-ups in today's yoga practice. Sitting up nice and tall, reaching the crown of the head towards the sky and allowing the shoulders to just rest down. The elbows are heavy. Palms of the hands are on the knees. Breathing naturally here. Allowing the breath to be a little deeper than normal, a little more complete. On an exhale, draw the chin to the chest and bring some stretches into the back of the neck. Continuing to breathe here. And in your own pace, in your own time, allow the left ear to sweep over to the left shoulder and the right hand to extend out to the mat next to the left hip, right hip, I'm sorry. I'm mirroring you. Breathe into the right side of the neck here. Good. Taking the hand back to the knee, the chin rolls back to the chest and over to the other side. So right ear to right shoulder, left hand extends, getting a little deeper stretch. And breathing into those muscles in the side of the neck. This is a very good practice to help relieve some of the tension that builds up throughout the day. You can take this practice in the morning or in the evening. It's a great way to warm up in the morning as well. Good. Taking the hand back to the knee, allowing the chin to come back to the chest, and start to make circles with the head. So imagine you have a paintbrush poking out the top of your head and you're painting huge circles on the sky above you. Take those circles in both directions. And the next time the chin comes to the chest, we'll lift it up parallel to the earth. Good. Lift the arms out to the side and up. Bring the palms together, lowering them down through to heart center. Lifting the arms in a circle all the way out and up again. This time, palms are facing towards each other. Bring the shoulders up by like earrings, so you notice what not to do, and relax the shoulder blades and the shoulders down. Very nice. Let's take the left hand to the mat next to the left hip, reach up through the right hand, and then begin to come over to the side, a nice deep stretch into the right side rib cage. Walk the hand out a little more and bend into the elbow. Notice I'm lengthening through the left side of my body as well as the right. I'm not crunching down into the stretch. Keep elongating through the spine. Continue to breathe as those tiny short muscles between each rib begin to stretch. Very nice. Let's take the right hand down to the mat. Lift the left arm up, reaching up, but allowing that shoulder to stay down. Extending through the spine, crown of the head up, and then bending over to the right. Very nice. Coming back up to center, placing the hands onto the knees. I'm just gonna, for a moment, come sideways so you can see what we're doing with our spine. Inhale, this is a seated cat-cow. Inhale the heart center forward, shoulders back, arching the back, lifting the chin. Exhaling, rounding into the upper back, shoulders forward, chin to chest. Seated cat-cow. Inhaling the cow. Exhaling to that Halloween cat shape. Good. Take this one more time. Very nice. Sitting up nice and tall again. Extend the legs out in front of you. Bend into the left knee, draw it in close towards the chest. Keep that right foot flexed and extended toes are pointing towards the sky. We're going to take the left hand, behind us, behind the sacrum, sitting nice and tall here, and then we start to twist belly, ribs, and shoulders over to the left. You can keep the hand at the knee here and look over that left shoulder. If you'd like, you can wrap the inner edge of the elbow around the knee, getting sort of a cleansing twist here. Getting the spine nice and juicy. Notice how the breath is a little more restricted here as we have the knee into the chest. Let's take the head around forward again and the rest of the body to follow. And extend the left leg out, shake it out. Letting those breaths be a little deeper, a little more complete on the exhale. Take the right leg into the chest now, sitting up nice and tall. You can move the belly flesh out of the way as you begin to spin belly, ribs, and shoulders over to the right, placing the hand behind the sacrum. And then again, the hand can stay at the knee, that right knee, while the left leg is straight and flexed and the foot is pointing, toes are pointing towards the sky. We're twisting to the right now. You can also wrap the arm around the knee. If it's in your practice to go a little bit deeper, lift that left arm up and then you can slide it to the outer edge of the knee. Again, sitting nice and tall. We're not rounding into the spine. The chin is parallel to the earth. Relax into the left hip. One more breath here. Very nice. Let's take the head around first, the rest of the body to follow, and take a few more of those cat-cows with the legs in the cross position. Inhaling heart forward, lifting the chin, shoulders back. Exhaling chin to chest, shoulders forward, rounding into the upper back only, the space between the shoulder blades where the back of the heart lives. Good. Take this 2 more times. Very nice. Sit up nice and tall. I'm going to come to hands and knees now. This is a tabletop position. I like to have the knees on a blanket here so our practice can be more sustainable. We can practice for a little bit longer in our lives without damaging it. So come to a tabletop position with the wrist directly below the shoulders. The fingers are nice and wide here, and we're pressing down between the index finger and the thumb, large knuckles, so we're not rolling to the outer edges of the wrist. We're evenly pressing down through all of the finger pads. The tops of the feet are to the mat while the knees are directly below the hips here. We have a neutral spine, crown of the head is reaching forward, and we're looking at the space on the mat between our hands. Here we'll take cat-cow again. As we inhale, lift the tailbone, drop the belly, lift the chin. Exhale, curl the tailbone under, chin to chest, press the mat away from you, round into the upper back. Inhale to cow, moo, and exhale to that Halloween cat, meow, or hiss. Very nice. Take this one more time. Exhale fully, navel to spine. Good. Coming back to a neutral spine now. Bring the toes together, the knees mat width apart. Sink the hips back to the heels for child's pose. We've got room between the knees for the belly and the torso to rest. Reach the arms far out in front of you. Bring the forehead to the mat. If that's not in your practice, take a block underneath the forehead. I invite you to make an intention for your practice today. Make an intention for your whole day, perhaps. Very nice. Lifting the head first, walking the hands back, bringing the knees together. You can sit on the heels here. If that's not in your practice, place a block between the ankles and the sits bones come to the top of the block. Go ahead and stay in this hero pose for a moment, and I'm going to walk you through getting into downward facing dog the easiest way, the best way, I believe, and to create length in the spine without rounding into the lower back. I'm going to move the blanket out of the way since I'm done with this now. Coming back to a tabletop position. Only this time I'm curling the toes under. I'm going to slide the hands a little wider so the pinkies are about 1 inch away from the outer edge of the mat. With the toes curled under, take a nice deep breath in. And on the exhale, lift the knees and scoop the hips back so that the belly is resting on the thighs. And then start to lift those sits bones up towards the sky. The feet are hips distance apart, so about 4 to 6 inches. The heels are still lifted and the knees are still bent. And I'm drawing the belly and the chest towards the knees to lengthen into the spine here. I'm not wearing my shoulders like earrings. I'm resting my torso down onto the arm bones, and I'm spinning the triceps and the elbows to face towards the knees. They're not going to face all the way towards the knees, but they're just going in that direction. Imagine the shoulder blades are shifting to the outer edges of the rib cage. And then you can start to pedal the feet here. So come on into this downward facing dog, starting in our tabletop position, wrists underneath the shoulders, knees under the hips, toe pads are on the mat. Deep inhale. Exhale, press the mat away, lift the knees, scoop the hips back and up. Very nice. Keep the low back nice and long. Rest the torso down onto those arm bones and rotate the triceps, towards the back of the mat. Feel space between the shoulder blades here. The ears are in line with the biceps. We're pedaling the feet, lowering one foot, lifting the opposite heel. Good. Drawing the chest towards the thighs. You can begin to straighten the legs, but if it's not in your practice, that's fine. The heels do not have to come to the mat. Take a moment to feel the organs pressing on the diaphragm here. Maybe it's a little harder to get that belly breath. Feel free to invite Ujjayi breath, a restriction in the back of the throat, into your exhales. Very nice. We'll lower the knees back down, take the big toes together, the knees come mat width apart, and sinking the hips back to the heels again. We can rotate out the wrists here. If you're new to yoga, you may notice that your wrists get a little tired, a little sore. The more you practice, the better it gets. So, good. Let's come back to tabletop position. Curl the toes under, come to downward facing dog. Look up at the mat and start to walk the feet towards the top of the mat. Come to a forward fold. You can grab a block here if you would like and place the hands on it if the hands are not reaching the earth. If you're here because you have very tight hamstrings, bend into the knees. Keep the low back nice and flat. We're not rounding into the low back. We're tipping the pelvis forward. Good. You can have the fingertips to the block in an Ardha Uttanasana, a half forward fold. If you like, relax the head down. You can grab opposite elbows here. Imagine the legs strong like pillars and the upper body like a waterfall flowing over. Shake the head out. Good. Now with a slight bend into the knees, place the thumbs into the hip creases, have the elbows back so the shoulders are nice and flat. Press the back of the head towards the sky and hinge up at those hip creases. Very nice. Come to your mountain pose. Roll the shoulders up by the ears, back and down. Reaching the crown of the head towards the sky. The lower body is nice and strong. The feet are hip bone distance apart. Toes are pointing forward. Lift up the kneecaps by tightening into the quad muscles. Make this a very active pose. You can close the eyes if you're feeling stable here. If the belly is falling forward, the low back is arching, just draw those low ribs in. Good. Now while you're still facing the front of your mat, I'm going to face the side of my mat. We're going to do Ardha Chandrasana. This is a half moon pose. Feet are hip distance apart. We're lifting the arms above head. Go ahead and grab a hold of that right wrist with the left hand and reach nice and tall. So I'm not like yanking on my arm here. I'm just using it as support. I'm pressing down through the right foot, reaching up, and then the upper torso begins to bend over to the left. Very nice. Continue to breathe here. Draw the right shoulder back slightly so we're not letting it fall forward. We're pulling it back so that the whole body is in alignment from front to back. Very nice. Feel a nice deep stretch all the way from that right wrist, all the way down to that right ankle. We'll come back up to center, switch sides, lift up, nice deep inhale, and exhale, press down through the left foot, coming up and over. Again, we're doing that deep stretch into the short, tiny little muscles in between the rib cage. This is allowing the rib cage to expand, which in turn allows the lungs to expand, and we can take a deeper breath. Continue to breathe. Notice if you're holding the breath. Good. Back up to center. Palms come together, lowering them down to heart center. Pranayama. Good. Let's run through a couple of sun salutations. Got the mat, the blocks at the front of the mat. I'm going to run through classical sun salutation 2 times for warm up in the body, and then we'll move on to more poses that create, that work with the upper torso. Coming to the front of the mat in our mountain pose. Inhale, sweep the arms out to the side and up, extended Tadasana. Exhale, arms out to the side and down. We're hinging at the hip creases, not at the waist, coming all the way down to Uttanasana. You can use the blocks here. We're going to come to Ardha Uttanasana and step that right foot back. Very good. Notice that the knee, and you may notice this in the beginner's yoga, knee is directly above the ankle. We're pressing down firmly and equally through the entire foot. I'm not putting my weight onto my leg. I'm making this a very active pose. My right foot is very active, heel is lifted, pressing down through the toe pads and the ball of the foot. Perhaps you want to see if you can just make this a very active pose, like a ready, set, go. This is runner's lunge, Ashva Sanchalasana. Very good. Feel that nice, long, straight line of energy all the way from the crown of the head to the heel. Breathe here, and you can take on Ujjayi breath to help make this pose a little more sustainable. Very nice. Move the blocks out of the way. Take a nice deep inhale. Plant the hands. Exhale, take the left foot back, and we're at the top of a plank here. Lower the knees, keeping the elbows in towards the sides and the shoulders back. Exhale the heart center forward and down. Keep pressing the back of the head back. Don't let it hang down as you lower yourself down. Good. Slide the fingertips forward slightly. The elbows are still into the side. Inhale the heart center and draw the shoulders back. Reach the crown of head forward and up. Cobra pose. Good. Lowering down, use the strength of your arms to press you back to a child's pose. This time, the knees are still together. Inhale up to tabletop position. Curl the toes. Exhale, downward facing dog. Good. Now, to come into runner's lunge on the other side, if you're new to yoga, lower the knees down and take that right foot forward. If you've been practicing yoga and you're flexible enough, lift that right leg up into the air, bend the knee, and step the right foot next to the right thumb. If the leg doesn't make it there all the way and the knee is forward, just lower the left knee, help that right foot forward. Pay attention to your alignment. Be kind to your body. Deep inhale here. Exhale, kick off that left foot. Step next to the right, Uttanasana, forward fold. Good. Hinging up at the hip creases, arms come out to the side and up. Extended Tadasana and down to Pranayama, heart center with the hands. Good. Low ribs are drawing in, and we're still breathing. We'll take this one more time on the other side. Inhale, extended Tadasana. Exhale, Uttanasana, hip creases, not waist. Step the left foot back this time. Make any adjustments to your alignment that you may need. Deep inhale, plant the hands. Exhale, step the right foot back, lower the knees. Exhale the chest and chin down below the hands. Inhale up to cobra. Shoulders are back. We're not hunching forward. We're lengthening in through the neck. And then using the strength of the hands, press back to child's pose. Surrender. Tabletop position. Curl the toes. Downward facing dog. Again, however you need to get to your runner's lunge, stepping the left foot forward. Deep inhale. Exhale, stepping the right foot next to the left, Uttanasana. Surrender the head. And then slight bend into the knees as we hinge up at the hip creases, extended Tadasana and Pranayama. Try to refrain from fixing your hair, fixing your clothes. Just sit in this place right here, right now. Come back to the breath. You can frame the hands around the thighs, palms forward. Good. Very nice. Opening the eyes. Come to the long edge of your mat with a nice wide stance. The outer edges of the feet are parallel to the short edges of the mat. Turn the toes of the left foot towards the front of the mat. Bend into that left knee, bringing the left knee directly above that left ankle. And then just kick that right heel back tiny bit. We're opening the body to the long edge of the mat as we lift the arms up so that the wrists are the same height as the shoulders. Then bring the palms up, because sometimes in warrior, we're here with the shoulders, so much tension in the shoulders. Relax the shoulders down by bringing the palms facing up, and then just spin at the wrist so the palms are facing down. We're gazing out over those left fingertips. If the belly is falling forward and the low back is arching, just draw the low ribs in once again. We're not tucking the tailbone under, we're just lengthening the low back slightly. My head is aligned over my heart and my heart over my pelvis. Sometimes if we notice when we come to this pose, we notice that we're leaning forward in this warrior. That means we're living in the future. Sometimes we're leaning back in our warrior. We're living and grasping in the past. Let's live in the now and center head over heart, heart over pelvis. Very nice. Take the right hand to the back of the right thigh. Scoop that left arm up, lengthening the spine, lengthening through the rib cage. Reverse warrior. Good. And then coming back to warrior two. This time we're going to hinge through that left hip crease, reaching far through those fingertips to get that left elbow to the left knee. Palm can come facing up. We're going to sweep that right arm forward across the horizon, bringing the bicep next to the right ear, and then plugging that large arm bone into the shoulder socket, giving that space between the bicep and the ear. Very nice. Perhaps you want to draw that right shoulder back and look at the sky. Or we can stay here. We're just feeling a lot of length through the right side of the body here. Good. Press down through that left foot. Come back up using the muscles from the core, and then place the hands to the hips, straighten into the left leg, and turn the toes towards the long edge of the mat once again. I'm going to take a block and place that right in front of me. Let's kick the heels out slightly so that the outer edges of the feet are parallel to the short edges of the mat. Slight, just a micro bend is what we call this in yoga, micro bend into the knees. We're not actually bending the knees. Hands are on the hips, so we can be very mindful to come forward into our forward fold. So I'm going to take this from the side view so you can see what this looks like. Hands are at the hips. We're hinging forward at the hip creases here. And then take that block underneath the hands. So I'm not sitting back in my hips. I'm aligning the hips with the ankles. So it feels like I'm slightly leaning forward. The block comes directly under the nose. Again, you can lift the kneecaps here by tightening into the quads. This helps to release the muscles in the hamstrings. Let's place the right hand directly below the nose. Take a deep inhale, and as you exhale, begin to twist belly, ribs, and shoulders over to the left. If you notice your right hip is sinking, like your hips have shifted, then just lift the right hip up. Maybe your twist isn't as deep. Level the hips to the earth. Very nice. Continue to breathe here. And then lower that left hand to where the right hand was, and we'll move to the other side. Deep inhale, exhale, unfurl that arm like a fern in the forest. Check in with the hips. Breathe. Good. We'll be lowering that right hand back down. And if you'd like to just take a moment to allow the torso to come forward, perhaps you use the blocks to rest your forehead on. Maybe you've been practicing a while and your head reaches the earth. This is your practice. No one else's, just yours. So listen to your body, honor your body. Maybe come to the edge of a stretch, but don't go over. Very nice. Come back up to that half forward fold. Maybe heel toe the feet in a tiny bit. Bring a micro bend to the knees. The toes can point out just a teeny tiny bit right now, so we can bend into the knees a little more. Take the hands to the hip creases and come forward and up. All right. So we are still on the long edge of the mat. Bring the outer edges of the feet again parallel to the short edges of the mat. And then turn the toes of the right foot towards the back of the mat and bend into that right knee. Kick the left heel back slightly so that the toes and the heel are in line with the knee and the leg. The hips are open to the long edge of the mat. If you find that this is very hard and that your knee is tracking inward, just shorten your stride a little bit and take the kneecap in line with the second toe on the foot, so it's centered. We want that centered on the foot. Very nice. I believe we went over this in a previous video. Take the arms up and center head over heart, heart over hips. Gaze over those right fingertips. Lower the left hand to the left thigh. Scoop the right palm up. Breathe into those right ribs, lengthening the spine. Exalting your warrior. Good, come back to warrior two. Hinge through the right hip crease, reaching deep through those fingertips. Take the right elbow to the right knee and sweep that left arm along the horizon. Open the chest, drawing the right shoulder back. Palm is facing towards the earth, and there's space between the bicep and the ear. And breathe. Very nice. Ujjayi breath helps to keep us centered in our poses. Coming back up to warrior two, hands to the knees, toes. You can just start to heel toe the feet together. Good. Let's come back to the front of our mat. Do a few standing cat-cows this time. So bend into the knees, Bring the hips back a little so that way the knees are more so over the ankles. Place the hands above the kneecaps. And then inhale, arching the upper back, lift the tailbone and the chin, shoulders back. Exhale, curl the tailbone, open the space between the shoulder blades, chin to chest. Inhale, cow. Exhale, cat. Take this 2 more times. Very good, and then come to standing. All righty, you can rotate out the ankles. I invite you to take mountain pose here. We're gonna take it for a little longer than usual. I'm gonna invite you to take in both of these breath techniques into your practice and see how well it can help keep you centered in your pose, in the moment. Keep your mind from wandering what you have to do later in the day. Just be here now, like Ram Dass says, be here now. So find the nice strong mountain pose. We're pressing down through all 4 corners of the feet. So that's big toe mound, pinky toe mound, inner and outer edges of the heel. Lift the toes up and feel the arches of the feet lift, and then place just the toes back down. Lift the kneecaps. Allow the belly to draw in slightly along with the low ribs. Roll the shoulders up by the ears, back and down. And bring the palms facing forward. Reach the crown of the head towards the sky. Keep this a strong pose. And then come to your breath. If you notice the shoulders lift on your 3-part breath, be sure to let them relax back down on the exhale. Can you just be here now? Can you allow the oscillations of the mind to soften? Can you practice patience? Where is your mind now? Is it back on the breath? Is it in tune with the body? Can you feel the heart beating? Allow the eyes to softly open if they're closed. Notice if your awareness has shifted at all while you were in mountain pose, staying connected with the breath. We're going to move to some poses on the mat now. So I do want you to just come to however that looks like for you. Come to seated on the mat. And I'm going to ask that you watch a pose before you do it, because when we are laying on our back in this position, you know, it's not always good to do the pose while your head is turning to the side. So let's not do that. So we're going to come to, actually I'm going to turn this way because there is a rug underneath me that's kind of weird. Got our blocks. If you don't have blocks, that's fine. You don't necessarily need to use them. I do always suggest a blanket and a blocks at the very minimum for yoga props. Well, of course, and a mat. If you don't have them, I highly suggest, if you want to practice yoga, then to get yourself some blocks. So the knees are bent, the soles of the feet are to the mat, and they are hips distance apart. Knees are also hips distance apart. It's about like if you take the block at the skinniest setting and place it between the knees, that's about how far away that the knees and feet are. Just come to lying on your back. Very nice. We're going to do some pelvic breathing here. So as you're breathing in, you're going to arch the low back. Let me move my arms out of the way so you can see. I'm going to arch the lower back as the pelvis is tipping forward. We're opening the front of the body here. And then as we exhale, tip the pelvis back, bringing the pelvic bone closer to the navel. Good. So this is the pose we're going to be doing first. If you'd like to take this position, lying on your back with the knees bent. Inhaling, tipping the pelvis forward, arching the low back, opening the front body. And then exhale all the air out, drawing the navel to the spine, sort of tucking the tailbone under. Try to lengthen the breath. See if you can get the breath to be a little longer in and evenly just as long out. Very nice. After your next exhale, let's take the arms alongside the body with the palms are facing down. The feet and the legs are still in the same position. And if I can cue this right, you won't have to watch me. So as you inhale, you're going to sweep the arms up overhead. So the fingertips are coming towards the sky. Keep on flowing through so that the biceps are coming next to the ears. The arms are laying on the mat above your head. That's on the inhale. On the exhale, we're sweeping the arms back, just like this big rainbow over our bodies. The palms are coming back to the mat alongside the hips on the exhale. So inhale, sweep the arms up and back. Feel the rib cage open. You may feel the ribs or the back arching slightly. And then exhale, returning the hands back to the sides. Navel to spine on the exhale, making that exhale very complete. Take this at your own pace. This is a good way to tell if your inhales and exhales are the same length. Keep the head pressing into the back of the mat. Invite Ujjayi breath into your practice here, that restriction on the exhales. Take this one more time. Very nice. Now, after the exhale, the hands, palms are facing down on the mat. And you can move, scooch the hands further away from the body, a foot or so. Bring the feet mat width apart and just allow the knees to knock in towards each other and take a moment here. Without judgment, just notice if there's a little difference in the breath from the beginning of our practice until now. Good. Now with the feet still mat width apart, keep the feet planted here. Take a deep inhale and allow the knees to drop over to the left. If this is hard on your right knee, keep the right foot flexed to protect the knee. Breathe into the right side body here. And then leading with the right knee, lifting the knees back up to point towards the sky. On an exhale, allow them to fall to the right. One thing about this is that each side of the body can be a little different. Perhaps your left knee is coming closer to the mat, or maybe not. Again, keep that left foot flexed. If you are feeling any awkwardness or pain in that left knee. Very nice. Now, leading with the right knee, let's bring the pelvis back up, knees are back up. Take this dynamically a few times. A deep inhale when the knees are up, exhaling them over to the left. Inhaling them back up to center and exhaling them to the right. And take this a few more times. Matching breath with movement. Good. Bring the knees back up to center. Draw the knees into the chest. I like to place my hands on tops of the knees and inhale, moving the knees further away from the torso. Exhale, draw the knees into the chest and maybe lift the head to bring the nose towards the knees like a little roly-poly bug. Inhale, opening the body, hands to the tops of the knees, move the knees away. Exhale, squeeze it in. Asana. This is a very good pose for cleansing as well. Take this one more time. Good. Take the feet back to the mat. Knees are still bent and pointing towards the sky. Press the back of the head into the mat. Press the hands into the mat. Lift the hips slightly and shift them over to the left just a little while the feet are still remaining in the same place. Shoulders and head are still remaining in the same place. Extend the right leg long. Draw the left knee into the chest. Extend the left arm out to a T position. And then begin to twist to the right, coming up onto the right hip. The head can stay looking with the nose pointing towards the sky if you wish. You can wrap the toes around the back of the right knee. Relax that right leg fully. Try to keep the left shoulder planted on the mat. Good. And let's take that on the other side. So slowly bringing the sacrum back to the earth. Knees are bent. Shifting the hips back to center, centering the body on the mat. And then doing the same, pressing the back of the head, the feet, and the hands into the mat. Lift the hips, shift them to the right slightly. Extend the left leg long on the mat. Relax that left leg. Draw the right knee into the chest. Extend the right arm out to a T position. And then twist to the left, coming up onto the left hip this time. The reason why we shift the hips like that is because we are rotating the spine on the axis of the spine rather than twisting it in a fashion where the spine would be kind of curvy. If you wish to look over at the right hand, staying in this theme of twisting on the axis, lift the head up, then turn it and rest the head down. We want to stay safe in our practice. And to be kind to our bodies. Creating a healthy habit of yoga doesn't only take place on the mat, but everything you learn about yourself on the mat gets carried into your waking life off the mat. Allow the sacrum to come back to the mat, rolling back onto the back and squaring the body. Taking the feet mat distance apart, allowing the knees to knock in towards each other as we're slowing down our practice here. Shavasana, our final pose, is translated in English to corpse pose because this is where we are sort of like the death card in the tarot. We're coming to an end of something and getting ready to begin something new. And that something new is going to be the rest of our day. In a traditional corpse pose, the arms are alongside the body, extended maybe 5 inches to a foot away with the palms facing up. The legs are extended long on the mat width apart. We're relaxing into the hips here so the feet may sort of relax with the toes pointing off to the side. But today, because we've been working into the torso, I'm going to invite you to take 5-pointed star by extending the arms out to a Y position with the palms facing up. Take a deep breath in, exhale audibly. Soften the ankles, the knees, and the hips. Relax the belly and the chest. The shoulders, arms, and hands completely relaxed. part the teeth. Relax the jaw. Feel a sense of the ears and the scalp just melting towards the earth. Relax all the tiny muscles around the eyes as they rest heavy in the backs of their sockets. Removing all expression from the face. And placing all awareness to the space between the eyebrows and back a few inches to Ajna, the third eye, where the pineal gland lives. I'm going to invite you to take this Shavasana for as long as you like. Thank you for sharing your practice with me today. Namaste.